Normally we don't really do vans on topgear.com, but we are going to make an exception for this. Don't think of it as a van, think of this as an all-new type of electric car. Let's have a good look around the Volkswagen id.buzz. And yes, before we go any further, the name. This is officially called the id.buzz. I've only just worked out that's actually a pun, because in Germany one of these is known as a bus, so an electric version becomes the Buzz. I thought that for the production version, and this is the finished one, that they'd call it something boring like the IDV. But no, they've stuck with the concept car name. So that means when people ask you, what are you driving these days? You're actually going to have to look them in the eye and say, oh, well, I drive a Buzz. The next thing they're going to ask you is, which Buzz have you gone for? Because there's going to be loads of these things. There's also going to be the panel van version, the id.buzz Cargo. And I can't think of a more stylish or eco-friendly way to have those over-packaged Amazon deliveries brought to your door. It's based on the same platform as Volkswagen's ID3, the ID4, Cupra's Born, the Audi e-trons, and there's even some Skodas on the same platform. That's the great thing about electric car platforms, isn't it? It's just a big heap of batteries and then you can stretch it into any shape that you want. So next, after this standard car, there'll be a long wheelbase Buzz that will have more seats, bigger boot, and a bigger battery, but it's going to take until 2025 for the Buzz that you and I are most excited for, and that is the California, the campervan version with the sink and the kitchen and the bed. Why is that taking so long? Well, Volkswagen have just told me that it's quite simply because the current diesel-powered California is selling so well that they're in no hurry to kill it off. Right, come with me, let's have a really detailed poke around this id.buzz, starting at the front of course, not with these standard fit LED lights, but with this enormous Volkswagen badge, like the size of a dinner plate. They've not done this through styling insecurity, that is a deliberate homage to the classic Type 1 microbus from the 1960s, the hippie bus. Quick bit of history for you, Volkswagen's actually been promising to do a retro cool van like this for about 20 years. There was the microbus concept, then the bully concept, then the Bud E concept, and finally in 2017, an id.buzz concept, which thankfully they've barely changed. This production car has a grille down the front with some radar cruise gubbins, but it still looks really clean. Okay, more styling stuff. You can have 18, 19, 20, or these 21-inch wheels. There are 4 options of two-tone paint colour, or you can have it all in one colour if you're boring. It stands 1.9 metres tall, the Buzz. Volkswagen says that is so it fits in most European parking garages and multi-storey car parks, but just make sure you've taken your canoes or your mountain bikes off the roof first. This thing starts at about £50,000, but it can very quickly get more expensive. Now here's a bit of T1 inspiration you might not have expected, because the Buzz is actually rear-engined. Of course, that engine isn't an air-cooled, clattering Beetle power plant, it's all electric, but that electric motor is mounted down here. It's tucked out of the way, and the Buzz is rear-wheel drive. Obviously, that is not for hooning purposes, it's so that you get a big cabin, and it means the wheels at the front can pivot and turn that much tighter, and you get a really handy turning circle. So this will spin round in just over 11 metres. That's about the same space as a Golf needs, so the Buzz should be very, very agile at getting out of the festival car park. The drive system is taken from the Volkswagen IDs you already know. So in this Buzz Pro, there's a 77 kilowatt-hour battery. It's got 200 horsepower, 229 pounds-feet of torque. The car weighs over 2 tons, but should still do 0 to 60 in about 8 seconds. Real-world range should be around 250 miles. In 2023, there'll be a smaller battery, Buzz Pure, kicking off the family at around £50,000. The long wheelbase Buzz will get the even bigger battery, and in future, they might even do a fast 4-wheel drive GTX version. But that's all electric car stuff you've heard before. So let's go and have a look at a new type of electric car interior. Now, the idea in here is you get a similar amount of space as you would in a conventional Volkswagen T6 van, but in a shorter overall car, because of course up front, there's no need to package an engine and a cooling system, so that brings advantages for the crash structure and the longer wheelbase. I must say, it doesn't feel like I've exactly let myself into Wembley Stadium after hours here, but, oh, I mean, look, tons of leg room and headroom. The main thing you notice is we make life so difficult for ourselves by being obsessed with buying SUVs. I mean, I've got so much more space back here than I would in a Tiguan or a Touareg because there's a low floor, because this car doesn't need to pretend it goes off-road. Getting in was super easy because the door opening is enormous and even the windows are huge. It's just a happier place to travel. And now I know that you're obsessed with practicality, join me in the boot. It's enormous, 1,100 litres back here, even with all 5 seats up. And I must say I do like this clever little Buzz logo etched into the trim. However, I have just spotted some technology that's worrying me in the front. Let's go and have a look. Okay, welcome aboard. Get into your captain's chair. Let me put your armrest down for you. That is one heck of a commanding driving position. I half expected oxygen masks to drop from the ceiling when I got in. And that windscreen does look an awfully long way away, but you have to remember that beyond that, there's not really any jutting bonnet, so parking should be a doddle. Now, this interior design, I think, means someone at Volkswagen is a big BMW i3 fan. The i3's just gone out of production and probably a bit too ahead of its time, but the spirit of that lodge interior lives on in the Buzz. Look at all this open pore, unpolished wood and the flat scalloped surfaces. There's no oppressive cliff face of plastic as a dashboard. It feels welcoming. Now, car designers will often wang on boringly about making a car feel like a lounge inside, giving you that idea that you're already home even before you set off. And normally it is absolute rubbish. But I think Volkswagen might have pulled it off in here, and it is actually quite practical as well. I mean, you've got storage down here in the doors and another pocket down here. The cup holders are hidden away. There's a massive glove box, another shelf, and then this whole center console with the cup holders can actually completely lift out for some reason and then hopefully clicks back into place. There's also wireless charging somewhere in here for your phone and 7 USB sockets. So even the most antisocial family can keep all of their devices juiced up. There's only one thing that I think is going to disturb the relaxing ambience in this vanilla interior, and it's there. Okay, so if you haven't heard about all this, let me bring you up to speed. A couple of years ago, Volkswagen sat down and it said to itself, our interiors, they make too much ergonomic sense and there's too many of these tactile, easy to use, well-made buttons everywhere. Let's put them all in the bin. And then they started over with haptic feedback controls, touch sensitive, and one of the laggiest touchscreens ever put into a car. And it's really not gone well for them. I mean, they managed to make the Golf unrecommendable. That's how badly Volkswagen screwed up its new technological interfaces. And of course, it's all reappeared in the Buzz. Now, I am promised by all the Volkswagen engineers who are just over there, probably getting quite cross that I'm being rude about their car, but I'm not sorry. I'm promised that this has been re-chipped, software updated over the air, and it's got loads better, but I'm not convinced. I mean, the temperature controls and the volume slider still doesn't light up at night, and as you can see from the sat-nav, this particular Buzz thinks it is in the middle of the sea in Hamburg dockyard. So I think there's still some room for improvement. And the same goes for these haptic buttons on the steering wheel and the confusing mirror controls and the annoying light switch. I want to believe that they've sorted this out for the Buzz, and I'm sure it will continue to improve as the car gets older, but it needs to be right first time. And it would be such a shame if such a useful and relaxing family car has been made annoying by the tech. There's also tech that's downright scary. This car has got Volkswagen's latest car-to-car communications, so it can download data from other Volkswagens nearby in the cloud and be warned about traffic, or even if there's road markings missing, and that the clever cruise control should prepare itself for missing white lines. I think my favourite bit of tech is the parking assistant, because it can actually learn and remember tricky manoeuvres. All you have to do is do it manually first to prove it can be done, and if the car's paying attention, it will record that, and then if you've got a tight driveway or a tricky campsite to get out of, the car can take over automatically in future, as long as you trust those sensors. Let me just rattle through charging for you, which lives in here. 170 kilowatts is the fastest the Buzz can charge at. So that means on the fastest charger it will take, you can go from 5 to 80% in half an hour. The party piece is bi-directional charging. And what that means is that, it sounds pretty future-proof to me. If you've got home with a built-in storage battery, then you charge the Buzz during the day using your solar panels on the roof or your garden wind farm. And then during the night, you can discharge the Buzz and run your PlayStation off its battery. Now that sounds very useful for when this becomes a campervan. So there you go, that's the Buzz. I'll tell you what I didn't see coming with the electric car revolution, and that is cars arriving and having the game to themselves. I mean, think of something like the Porsche Taycan Sport Turismo. That is the only fast electric estate car that money can buy right now. The likes of BMW or Audi or Tesla don't seem interested in taking it on just yet. Now, there are other electric vans, but they're just delivery workhorses. There's no true electric MPVs, and there's nothing that's got this much personality and style. And let's be honest, when it comes to character, EVs need all the help they can get.